Executive Director of the Center for Hope Services, Incorporated. His work is deeply rooted in a 39-year family legacy of service, inspired by his mother, Jean Alexander, who founded Hope Home Care in 1987. After 2 decades as a vice president in the home care industry, Brent saw a critical gap in support for Staten Island's most isolated residents. In 2022, he launched Center for Hope Services, Incorporated, to tackle the social factors that impact health and safety head-on. Today, as a partner in the New York City Emergency Management Strengthened Communities Program, Brent manages a growing coalition of 6 organizations dedicated to building a resilient safety net for older adults and homebound New Yorkers. He is a fierce advocate for the idea that preparedness isn't just about plans, it's about the trust we build before the storm hits. The next voice that you hear after this video will be our very own keynote, Brent Alexander.
That we've had within the past year. One of the first events you saw when we saw individuals in the parking lot, that is our community giveaway. And that is what I'm going to call our key to trust. We use that as our key to trust. We give out every month, we give out approximately $30,000 worth of goods with a partnership with Amazon to the community. And that built a whole lot of trust. You saw the Snug Harbor event with NYCEM. You saw presentations we did for NYCEM with NYCEM, and it was truly an honor to be here with the New York City Emergency Management and so many leaders who are deeply committed to the communities we serve. I want to start by saying this. I know the work you do is not easy. Many of you are balancing multiple priorities with limited resources and staffing challenges. And yet you still show up. So before anything else, please know that the work you are already doing matters more than you realize. Today, I want to talk about what Stronger Together in Emergency really looks like from a Staten Island perspective. Yes, I'm from Staten Island. That sometimes other borough. But the borough that's determined to be a leading borough in this city for emergency management with the team that we have. Staten Island is different. We only have 2 means of access to New York City. That's the Verrazano Bridge and the Staten Island Ferry. And if those are shut down, we are no longer connected to the city. We are isolated. And we only have 2 hospitals serving the entire borough. So when you talk about emergency preparedness where I come from, we're not just talking about coordination. We're talking about what happens when access goes down. Now imagine this. A major storm is about to hit, and you get that activation email from Mariah's team. You're juggling different priorities, you have to change your schedule just to make the meeting, and you have the AirPod in your ear driving your car so you can hear what's going on. And you're doing that because this work matters. Flooding begins, power goes out, roadways are blocked, the Verrazano Bridge is closed, and ferry services are suspended. Now Staten Island is isolated, not for an hour, but for a day, 2 days, maybe even longer. This is exactly how some of the people in your community feel every single day. They feel isolated, disconnected, unsure who to call or where to turn. And that's their reality on a normal day. Imagine what it feels like in the middle of an emergency, when systems are overwhelmed, when communication breaks down, and when help is delayed. That feeling of isolation doesn't just exist, it multiplies. And during that time, an older adult loses power to critical medical equipment. A home care worker can't reach their client. Families are waiting and resources are stretched. And the question becomes not how fast can help arrive, but it's about what you've already prepared for before the incident. It's about the relationships that you've already built when help is not coming. Because when bridges close, Staten Island is not just a borough, it's an island in the true sense of the word. But every one of our neighborhoods has its own bridges. If a cell tower breaks down and goes down to Brownsville, or if a road is flooded on the West Shore, or a language barrier stops somebody from getting an important message or understands it, in that moment, your community is fractured. But what remains is this network. What remains is what we've built in this room, the relationships we've built, and the organizations in this room, showing up for the people who need it the most. And this is where I want to shift the conversation a little bit. Because for many of us, preparedness feels like just something else. One more thing. One more responsibility. One more program. And I've heard it and said it before. We don't have capacity. We don't have funding. Or we don't have connections. But here's what I've learned. Preparedness doesn't start with resources, just doesn't start with resources. It starts with what you already have. It starts with your relationships. It starts with the trust that you built in the community. Now let me tell you a little bit about CFHSI. We didn't start with emergency management, and I know a lot of you have different stories on why you're doing this work. But for us, to be honest with you, it wasn't about that. I had a big healthcare dream, and I wanted to change the healthcare system on Staten Island. So that was my goal. I came out the door, being in 2023 after our first year, with a $3,000 budget. And I wound up writing a grant for $3 million. Thinking, and when I got denied the grant, I was like, how could they not fund my program? But I must have been crazy looking back. Why would anyone give me $3 million when I've only managed $3,000? So this work is not easy, but you must start somewhere. And that's what I realized. I was trying to do too much, too fast. And I had to get a reality check, basically. But something shifted. The strengthening communities opportunity came along. And I thought maybe I can't fix everything, but I need to start somewhere. I can't do healthcare, and I can't change the world through healthcare. The next thing, or the things that leads to the healthcare, if I can improve safety, I would also improve healthcare. So you don't have to do everything. You just have to start somewhere. From there, we began to build relationships. We did our Amazon drops. We built trust in the community. But one of my proudest achievements has been the Community Ambassadors Program. This is a program of retired older adults who now volunteer with us. They don't just have information, but they have shared experiences. When Rudy, a retired firefighter, who didn't move to Florida like most city workers, when he joined our team, he wasn't thinking about emergency preparedness. He just cared about his community. But when Rudy talks, people listen differently because they trust him. So when he says you need to have a go bag, they take action. That's the power of community. That's the power of trust. And that's what trust looks like in action. Last year, we joined NYCEM as a Strength and Community partner. And at that time, our coalition had 3 organizations. And to tell you the truth, we just stitched those 3 organizations together right before we wrote the grant. But now we have 6 organizations that we work with daily, weekly, or monthly. We just don't work with them, but they're now our partners, working towards one mission, and that's protecting and empowering the most vulnerable within our communities. In partnership with NYCEM, we developed a comprehensive community emergency plan for older adults, the homebound, and seniors, and NYCHA residents. And we bring that work directly to the community, to senior centers, to day programs. We talk about flooding, extreme heat, and winter storms. And we pair those with real tools, go bags, emergency guides, and multilingual material. Because information alone is not enough. People must trust it. And trust is something you earn. We didn't just show up. We built relationships. We listened. We followed through. And because of that, when we ask someone to sign up to notify NYC, they do it because they trust us. And that's one of the greatest lessons I can share with you today. Preparedness begins with trust. Over the past year, we reached hundreds of older adults, distributed hundreds of go bags, thousands of essential items, and activated during emergencies, and built a network of over 60 volunteers. And this past winter, that was all tested. During the coldest stretches, we mobilized quickly. We canvassed neighborhoods, shared resources, and connected residents to warming centers. It takes all of us. And I want to be very clear about something. Trying to do this work alone is not sustainable. It will stretch your team. It will drain your resources. And over time, it will burn out even your strongest members of your team. We felt that because when we care deeply, and we know that you care deeply, you'll do everything you can. But this work was never meant to be carried by one organization. And here is something we didn't expect. Preparedness did not drain our capacity, but it actually built our capacity. It helped us build other programs around preparedness that we were able to give to the community. Because through this work, we strengthen partnerships, we deepen trust, and we position ourselves in a space that is both needed and supported. And from that, new opportunities followed. Not because we chased them, but because we were doing the work. So when you're feeling the financial strain, or the physical strain, or the mental strain, sometimes doing the work will create the opportunity that you need to succeed. And this is where NYCEM has been critical, because this didn't just happen by accident. Someone, probably our two commissioners here, had the foresight to know that if our city is to truly be prepared, it must start with organizations like you. It must start with CERT. It must start with the volunteers. It would start with the preparedness team. So thank you, NYCEM, for helping us and supporting us. They brought together large organizations and grassroots organizations. They trained us. I want to leave you with 3 simple things. Step 1, before I leave, identify your people. In the moment that your community feels isolated, know who are the most vulnerable in that community. Do you know them by name? Do you know where to reach them or get them in the midst of an emergency? Because preparedness doesn't start with a plan. It starts with knowing who you're responsible for. Those individuals will remind you of why you're doing this work and why it's so important. Step 2, don't isolate yourself. When the work feels overwhelming, when it feels like you're on an island all by yourself, who is your person? Who's that person that you can go to that can energize you, that can motivate you to continue to do the work? Are you going to get on that call with Mariah or Jill or Emily and for them to give you the encouragement to let them, you know that you can do it? It's about building relationships with people that can help you. Step 3, you don't have to start from scratch. For those grassroots organizations and organizations like mine, learn to build upon the work that you're already doing. This preparedness work is a vital work that's needed in our community, and it will help us. And from those things, opportunities will grow. Partnerships, support, and capacity. Because sometimes it's not about finding something new. It's about recognizing the value of what you've already built. That's it. It's not everything, but it's something to start from. Because when the moment comes and your community needs you, it won't be about what you've planned perfectly. It will be about what you've built, step by step. Because in the end, preparedness is not just about plans, it's about people. And we are strongest when we stand together before emergencies begins. Thank you.
Thank you, Brent, for those wonderful words of encouragement